had a few days now to digest this budget and this imposition of inheritance tax on farmers who have land worth over and assets worth over £1 million. Where are you at with it now, Kelly, now the picture has emerged more clearly on what this might mean?
I think it's a travesty for agriculture. This is on the back of Labour approving 7,000 acres of solar panels very early on in them coming into power, which has increased land values with people fighting for land. 56% of non-farmers bought land in 2023. So that has increased land values, which we are now being punished for. I would love to only have an asset of £1 million, but the fact of the matter is when the farm was purchased, it has risen in value. We probably have a mortgage on about 50% of that land value. But if something happened tomorrow, we would have to find the money for the full asset, irrespective of what is outstanding on the mortgage.
And Kelly, what would your farm, if we can be impertinent, what roughly is your farm worth? Because we could then work out how much tax you're going to have to pay.
Probably between 3 and 4 million.
Right. And I think that is fairly standard. That's quite. I think the average dairy farm is worth around 3 million, 3.2 million. So you're in the average territory. Yeah,
we're a family dairy farm. We milk 250 cows. It's very much a family business. Nothing extravagant. But yeah, the fact of the matter is we would have to find the inheritance tax for the full asset, irrespective of any creditors, of any liabilities, of any mortgage. So it would just finish us completely. We have had figures from the Country Land Association saying that 70,000 farms will be affected. As of Q2 in 2024, we only have 108,300 farms left in the UK. And of that, 70,000 will be affected by this tax.
Just remind us as well, it's tough being a farmer. Labour don't seem to understand how tough it is. You're a dairy farm. How much profit do you make on a pint of milk, or I don't know if a gallon of milk, Kelly? I don't know how you would measure it. How much profit do you make?
So we sell in litres. I think we're up to about 38 pence a litre at the moment, but cost of production is still high. We're still being hit by the inflation in interest rates. So it's tight.
Kelly,
very tight. And
I'm really interested in what you said at the start of the interview about the fact that so much farmland has been bought up by people who aren't farmers, particularly for solar panel estates. Let's not call them solar farms. There's nothing about them which is like a farm. Why has that happened, and how has that been able to happen?
From my understanding, the Tories passed a compulsory purchase order, which meant that councils wouldn't have to overpay for farmland. So they're not paying possibly the value. But also you have large corporations buying farmland. In a lot of areas, farmers can't afford to buy farmland because they're competing with big corporations trying to buy land to offset their carbon footprint.
And of course, Kelly, the worry is if a family farm like yours goes, it will be taken over by a corporation with very little concern about the workers, the traditions, because your family's presumably been in this business for a very long time.
Yeah, so my husband's fourth generation. And the reality of the matter is this is going to raise less than £1 billion per year. At the same time, the Labour government are spending £28.5 billion on carbon capture over 5 years, £10 billion on clean energy, £11.6 billion on overseas climate aid.
It's a massive scam. It's a massive scam. To be clear, when you say these corporations are offsetting their carbon footprint, so you can run a factory polluting the environment or whatever it is that you're making, and if you buy up a few acres of farmland and stick some plastic solar panels on that farmland, you can sit back and say, I fulfilled my environmental and social governance, and look, I've got some solar panels there. What do you mean you need food? You're not allowed to have food. We're not going to allow farmers to buy food, to grow food for you to buy. We are doing our due diligence with our environmental obligations. It makes me sick, Kelly. How is the mood amongst the farming community? Are you defeated or are you fighting?
I think the first few days felt very defeated. It's the latest on the attack of farming. The key really is the mental health implications of this. It's another worry on already laden shoulders with many people sick with worry. Farming has the highest suicide rate across the country of any industry. And this has just put another nail in that coffin. Nothing sequesters carbon, by the way, better than grass.
Yeah, grass and trees.
Absolutely right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Well,
a lot of that land is being bought actually for tree planting as well as solar panels. But you can't eat trees. This, however, produces nutritious food.
More than a third of farmers. I heard that statement yesterday from the Minister for Agriculture. But really, what he's not taken into account there is that the price of land has went up because of many things, but mainly because of net zero and 20% of land having to go into greening. Big industries are buying up land in order to offset their carbon footprint, and therefore the price of land is going up. And as well as that, chicken sheds and piggeries, there is a hold on any new planning permission in them because of nitrates. And that, of course, if there's not any new ones being built, then the old ones are becoming so much more expensive. So as much as the public sector are looking and saying, well, 75% of that third's in the dairy sector because they hold a lot of land, well, that's not necessarily true, and that goes down to net zero. Farming is all about numbers. It's about high outputs and very small profits. And a man that knows about that right now is Trevor Gabby. Trevor, if you can just step in here for me. Trevor is... well, you're a propagator of plants, isn't that correct?
That's correct. We grow in excess of 16 million plants for the island of Ireland. So we grow seedlings. We start with seed, and we grow them to seedlings. We then sell them to throughout Ireland. This, in turn, then the farmers grow them into your cauliflowers, your broccoli, your Brussels sprouts. So we're working a very small margin, so we have to do numbers, like a lot of other farms. But what's killing us here at the minute is the wages.
And I mean, the Chancellor very much put up minimum wage and then hit you with national insurance. How's that going to affect you with employment?
Well, we were put up last year by over 10%. We're hit by 6.7% this year. And that's an awful rise. So we put an increase of about 4% on our plants last year, but they're going to take a massive rise this year because basically that 4% wasn't enough. It's going to get a rise again. So what's going to happen is my price of plants, we plants out here, they're going to go up in price because we have to pay our bills, so we have to increase our prices. So the guy then grows his cabbage, and then he's going to have to look for more money from his processor, from his wholesaler or supermarket because his prices rise. So you're going to look at inflation. So what they've done is they've just increased inflation.
Okay, so there you go. I mean, you can hear that from the horse's mouth, so to speak. I mean, really what you're now seeing is price rises that are going to appear at our checkouts, in our shopping baskets, because of a very ill thought out regulation that's being put into place, and that includes investment going into farms because, of course, the farms to hand over their land to their families will actually do away with the security in the banks that they need to run their farms, because most farms, 94% of farms in the UK, run on an overdraft situation.
Hey, Dougie, Trevor, thank you both very much indeed. What's Trevor growing there, Dougie? What's going on there behind you?
Oh, well, you've got lettuces here. He's just grown about 1.5 million pumpkins, and of course they've gone. So at this time of year, Trevor is growing stuff that's really, you're looking for the spring markets, but it's a downside, very slack at this time of year in these growing sheds, because they'll not really start again until February. So you can imagine that you have, as in most farms, you have about 3 months, 2 or 3 months, that is downtime, and you're having to pay for that expense out of your profits that you have made during the spring and the summer.